Solar dynasty is one of the two main dynasties of all Kshatriyas or the warriors. Solar dynasty or Surya-vansh and Lunar dynasty or the Chandra-vansh or Soma-vansh. And in these two dynasties take place the two great Indian epics of Ramayana and Mahabharata. Pandavas and Kauravas, the main characters of Mahabharata, are descendants of Chandra-vansh, while Ram, the main character of Ramayana, is a descendant of the Surya-vansh. King Dilipa was a famous king of Surya-vansh. Once Dilipa had the task to serve and gain goodwill from the cow Nandini, the divine cow Kamdhenu's daughter. One morning, when Nandini was grazing in a forest, suddenly a lion jumped out and attacked her. Dilipa tried to kill the lion but was unsuccessful. On being told by the lion that it had the right to kill any animals in the area, Dilipa fell on his knees and begged the lion to eat him rather than Nandini. Thus, he embodies the principle of Dharma, which is helping the weak and helpless. Dilipa's son was Raghu. King Raghu was considered as one of the greatest and most famous kings of Surya-vansh. He was such a benevolent warrior that after ascending to the throne, the Kausal kingdom expanded in all four directions and thus he gained large amounts of wealth and property. But then he did the Vishwajit Yagya and distributed his entire wealth to the people of Kausal as alms. Thus, he embodies the principle of Artha, which is economic welfare. Raghu's son was Aja, whose story we are going to explore today in detail. Just as King Dilipa embodies Dharma and King Raghu embodies Artha, King Aja embodies calm. He was famous for his love and loss of love. A major part of this story is taken from the great poet Kalidasa's epic poem Raghuvamsa, where the stories of the kings of Solar dynasty are told in detail. So, without any further delay, let's begin. King Raghu was blessed by sage Kautsa that he would obtain a valiant son. That son was Aja. When Aja was properly educated and reached a marriageable age, a messenger came to King Raghu from King Bhoj of Vidarbha. It was an invitation for Prince Aja to attend the Swayamvar of Bhoj's sister Indumati, which was to take place shortly. On his way from Ayodhya to Vidarbha, Aja killed a wild elephant who attacked him, who actually turned out to be a Gandharv who was caused to be an elephant. The now free and really pleased Gandharv blessed Aja with a miraculous Divyastra called Sammohanastra. Aja then reached Vidarbha, and in the Swayamvar, when Indumati saw him, she fell in love with him at first sight and chose Aja as her husband. Aja was also delighted at the prospect and they got married in the royal palace. But while going back to Ayodhya, they were attacked by some other kings present in the Swayamvar who felt humiliated because Indumati didn't choose them. But Aja easily defeated all of them using the Sammohanastra given to him by the Gandharv. On arriving to Ayodhya, King Raghu declared that he'll renounce the kingdom. He named Aja the king and went into Vanaprasthashram. Aja became a benevolent ruler and everyone was happy under him. Him and Indumati also were immensely in love with each other and they lived happily in Ayodhya. He even had a pleasure garden where he used to spend intimate time with Indumati. Aja's passion for Indumati was becoming a story which reached far and wide. After some time, Indumati became pregnant and gave birth to a boy. He was named Dashrath. One day, Aja and Indumati were making love in the pleasure garden. The pleasure garden was filled with ceilings of sweet aromatic flowers which would slowly fall on Aja and Indumati when wind would blow in the garden, which gave the appearance of flower rain in the garden. When some wind blew, a wreath of flowers fell from the ceiling on Indumati while she was intimate with Aja. But the moment those flowers touched Indumati's skin, she instantly dropped dead. Aja was absolutely shocked by that and couldn't believe what had happened. He endlessly tried to move Indumati's body to wake her up, but all in vain. The grief of Aja at that unexpected stroke of misfortune knew no bounds. His wife, the mother of his son, his love, his passion had gone away suddenly and would never come back to him. Now in some versions of the story, Aja was so heartbroken that he didn't want to remain in a world without Indumati. he immediately ran into the palace and committed suicide. Some other versions tell that he couldn't bear the thought of Indumati leaving him and he died heartbroken in the same instant. Kalidasa's Raghuvamsa tells that after Indumati's funeral was over, Aja remained plunged in sorrow and paid no heed to any aspect of life. He completely lost his interest in ruling Kausal and just mourned for his gone wife. Rishi Vashisht, Ayodhya's school guru, in order to cheer Aja up, sent him to one of his disciples who knew what had actually happened to Indumati. That disciple explained to Aja that Indumati was actually an Apsara from Swarg but was cursed to take birth on the earth. She could be released from the curse only when she would touch a celestial flower from Swarg. And on the day when Aja and Indumati were in the pleasure garden, Dev Rishi Narad was passing by in the sky carrying celestial flowers which accidentally dropped from his hands and touched Indumati, thus releasing from her curse. Aja didn't know how to react, but he was still grief-ridden. Guru Vashisht then advised Aja that life being an accident and death a rule, a firm-minded and wise ruler like Aja should stop brooding over his grief. Aja listened to Vashisht, but it had almost no visible effect on him. He still continued to remain in grief and just mourned for Indumati. He was lost from everything, and after 8 painful and sorrowful years, he also died and finally joined his love Indumati in the heavens. Aja and Indumati's story is a tragedy, but you might ask me that why did I tell this story in this video? What is the point of this story? Aja and Indumati's story is important because this tale of sudden tragedy and eventual death of a man who couldn't bear separation from his wife is very rare in Indian mythology. Typically, it's the woman who cannot bear separation from the husband and she grief-takingly waits for him to return from a faraway land or from battle. Stories of men grieving for their wives have been largely ignored for some reason. From this story of Aja grieving for Indumati, to Dushyant being so much in love with Shakuntala, to Ram weeping uncontrollably when he finds Sita was abducted and pleading to the trees to tell him where his beloved wife Sita is, to Krishna running in the forest crying out Radha's name while searching for her, these stories are not famously known. Another fascinating thing here is that Aja was Ram's grandfather and Dilip and Raghu were grandfather and father respectively of Aja. We saw how King Dilip was an embodiment of Dharma, King Raghu of Earth, and now King Aja of Kam. So this subtly also tells us that Ram embodies the characteristics of Dilip, Raghu and Aja. He is as noble as Dilip, as charitable as Raghu and as loving as Aja. The flower that killed Indumati is a symbol of fate that can strike at any time and abruptly end the happiest of dreams. A similar thing happens to Ram when Shurpanakha shows up in their hut while in their Vanvas, which then sets in motion a whole series of events over which Ram has no control, where he loses his wife Sita. Another similarity is that just like Aja, Ram also, after having to discard Sita out of Ayodhya and her going under the earth, never remarries and lives a grief-struck life and finally takes Jal Samadhi in the Sarayu river. In a culture where women were once expected to burn themselves on their husband's funeral pyre as Sati, there also exist stories where men couldn't bear life on earth without their wives. So what do you guys think about this story of Aja and Indumati and the greater narrative which this story highlights? Tell me all your thoughts in the comment section below. Also note here that some of these concepts I mentioned in the end are actually taken from the wide work of mythologist Devdutt Pattanayak. Links to all of his relevant articles are in the description below if you want to check them out. Also subscribe to Relevant Myths and hit the bell icon so that you never miss my videos. Like this video if you like my content and share it to everyone you know. You can watch these other videos of mine as well. Thank you for watching and have an awesome day.